It's Tuesday, the 24th of February. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. Raiders target the home of a United star while he's on Champions League duty in Italy. Also coming up, the council playing safe as trees face the chop.
But there's been a few trips and there's been a few insurance claims.
And head-to-head, Fergie and Mourinho get ready for the big match.
I don't go around thinking about all the games I've played against other managers, you know. I'm not into that kind of thing. It's not a stat I like to think about. One victory in 12.
We play 4-4-2. In 2004, Man United went out of the competition against a young Porto.
Good afternoon. First, this lunchtime, armed thieves have targeted the Cheshire home of United footballer Darren Fletcher. He's currently in Italy for tonight's Champions League match. Ben Bland has our top story.
The burglary happened at about 9 o'clock last night here in Bowden on the border between Greater Manchester and Cheshire. A gang of men, we don't know how many, broke into Darren Fletcher's home, perhaps expecting it to be empty. The 25-year-old midfielder having flown to Italy with the United side ahead of tonight's Champions League tie with Inter Milan. Police tell us a 25-year-old woman was in the house at the time of the burglary. We understand that was Hayley Grice, Darren Fletcher's girlfriend. She shares the house with him and their twin sons. We also understand the gang was armed with a knife. They raided the house and stole items but fled before police officers arrived. I've been speaking to neighbours nearby. None of them wanted to appear on camera, but they told me that burglaries are a concern here. This is a very affluent, well-to-do area and is popular with Premier League footballers, which can sometimes draw the wrong kind of attention. This is the latest in a spate of burglaries, seemingly targeting footballers' homes while they're away with their clubs. Those who've been targeted recently include Emil Heskey, Rocky Santa Cruz, Micah Richards, the Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard, who hired private security guards after his wife was threatened in their home. And just last month, a man was jailed for handling items stolen from the house of the Liverpool midfielder Lucas. But it's thought Darren Fletcher is the first Manchester United player to have been targeted in one of these burglaries. Now, as I mentioned, United are in Italy for the Champions League tie against Inter Milan. We'll bring you the drama from the game itself in our sports news a little bit later on.
Thanks, Ben. Manchester United defender Wes Brown has been banned from driving by Manchester magistrates who were wrongly told he was in Italy preparing for United's game against Inter Milan tonight. In fact, the footballer, who lives in Prestbury, is at home with a broken foot. The mistake was made by his solicitors, who've now contacted the court to point out the misunderstanding. Neither they or the Premier League star himself will face any further action. The ban came into effect after the footballer got further points on his licence for driving through a red light near Pars Wood, while already having 9 on there. A teenager's escaped serious injury after getting shot in Moss Side. He was walking through an alleyway on Lloyd Street towards the Parkside pub last night when a man shouted to him. The 19-year-old heard a loud bang and felt something hit his stomach. He then ran to a shop on Claremont Road, and although he was left with only a small mark on his stomach, he was extremely shaken. 4 horses have been killed in a fire at a stables in Bolton. It's thought the blaze could have been started deliberately. From there, Beverly Walkden sent this report.
This horrible arson happened at about 4:15 last night. Arsonists targeted these 9 stables holding 7 horses. Now, 4 of the horses have died. 3 have survived. They're not just any old horses. One of them, in fact, was Champion Horse of the Year back in 2002. And naturally, it's left the owners devastated. Think about the people who've done this.
I can't think of anything that I can say that'll... I just really can't think of anything to say, apart from the fact that I hope they walk past here if they've done it, and seeing the mess that they've caused and seeing the devastation, that it will live with them for the rest of their lives, as it will do with mine. I mean, these were family. It was a hobby. It's nothing I do for financial reward or gain. It's something I just love doing, and it's just all been taken away.
10 homes have had to be evacuated when a blaze broke out at a commercial car wash garage in Castleton near Rochdale. In Littleborough, fire crews have battled to control a blaze at Sladen Mill on Halifax Road near Blackstone Edge. The single-storey building was built as a cotton mill in the mid-19th century and concerns were raised because of asbestos, but the material was dealt with safely. Manchester University have lost out in the final of University Challenge. Oxford's Corpus Christi College beat them by 275 points to 190 in the grand final of the show. A school in Middleton is celebrating some major improvements. The inspectors Ofsted are hailing Middleton Technology School as a national success story. It's one of 12 in areas described as poor that have succeeded in challenging circumstances. We'll have more on that in our early evening news with Andy Crane from 5 tonight. A Stockport pub is being celebrated as being voted one of the best in Britain. The Crown, which nestles below the town's famous viaduct, has been named runner-up in the campaign for Real Ale's Pub of the Year, and we've been to sample the fare.
Fantastic achievement, really. I mean, we've won lots of local awards here. The pub's had a checkered history, I think it's fair to say. We've got something approaching 15 cask beers on, not all at the same time, anything up to probably a dozen or 13 at any one time. We've, one or two foreign beers, different types of ciders, and a good range of sort of soft drinks and wines as well. And we like to think of ourselves as a community pub. This pub's special because it appeals to all ages, I think. We have a range of people in here from 18 to 80.
It does deserve to be in the CAMRA Awards, yes, because it's a good pub, everybody's friendly, and you have a good atmosphere in here, and a good beer, as I say.
It's the clientele that come in here, they're very friendly, and of course the real ales, there's always different real ales on, always something to choose. It's just a different venue every time you come in.
A new plan to help children get fit by taking part in dance lessons is starting. Around 2,000 pupils in 29 schools are expected to take part, including ones in Salford. The Children's Secretary Ed Bowles says dancing's a fantastic way for youngsters to keep fit. Experts are warning of an explosion in the number of cases of diabetes. The condition's thought to be on the increase as more people become obese. Between 1997 and 2003, there was a 74% rise in cases. Time now for the lunchtime sports headlines, and Mike's looking ahead to United's Champions League clash against Inter Milan.
James, thank you. Indeed, I am. It's the first leg of the first round of knockout matches tonight, and although they're unbeaten in their previous 19 Champions League games, United have won only 3 of their previous 15 matches in Italy. They've lost 10 and drawn 2. And with that in mind, Sir Alex Ferguson has been speaking to us about just what sort of game he's expecting in the San Siro.
I think that there's 2 difficult ties. I mean, you can't split the sides at this moment in time. A team that's won the Serie A 3 times in a row, they're going to win it again 4 times in a row. The experience they have, a really outstanding manager, some terrific footballers. We know we're in a big game tomorrow, but so do they. That's what makes a fantastic tie. It's a pity it wasn't later in maybe Rome or whatever. It would have been a great final. But we're here, we have to go on with it. I don't think it'll go to extra time.
Well, United's plans have been hit by a lengthy injury list, and here's Sir Alex once again with his latest team news.
Obviously, we have some injury problems, and I won't know until tomorrow with O'Shea. He'll do a little light session, not with the team, on his own. John Evans is unable to train. So these are my major doubts. But everyone else is fit, has travelled. Obviously, these are big concerns for us because, obviously, with Wes Brown, Gary Neville, both injured at the moment, and Nemanja Vidic suspended for the game, it's a worrying moment for us. But in the context of our club, then we've accepted that one of them will be missing, maybe, and we just got on with it.
Meanwhile, the special one, Jose Mourinho, he's dropped a few hints as to how his Inter Milan side will approach this evening's encounter.
We play 4-4-2. In 2004, Man United went out of the competition against a young Porto that nobody would pay a euro betting with them, and that's football. I'm really waiting for a big game. I'm waiting for a game where probably in the last minute at Old Trafford nobody knows is going to go through. I'm not expecting tomorrow a result where somebody says it's done. Man United did it or Inter did it. I don't think so. I'm waiting for a 180 minutes tie, probably 220. You never know. I keep saying that the game in England is more emotional, is beautiful. Every game is open with an incredible atmosphere. But here the teams are, by the tactical point of view, stronger.
Now, Sir Alex and Jose Mourinho, they faced each other 12 times, with Mourinho claiming 6 wins and 5 draws. But that's a statistic that doesn't appear to bother Sir Alex.
I don't go around thinking about all the games I played against other managers, you know. I'm not into that kind of thing. It's not a stat I like to think about, 1 victory in 12. But it depends how you look at that. How many defeats? There's not as many as 11 defeats, is it? I would worry then. But no, it doesn't matter tomorrow, does it?
And whatever happens tonight, please try and join me on tomorrow's breakfast show from 6 o'clock, when we'll have highlights and plenty of reaction from the big game. The early team news ahead of tonight's League One and League Two fixtures. It's that Stockport County have injury concerns over Michael Rains and Johnny Mullins for their trip to Colchester. Oldham's Mark Crossley, he's not going to be risked against Bristol Rovers, while Rochdale are likely to be unchanged against Darlington. That's it from me for now, but please try and join Sam Goodman, who'll be with you with all your early evening sports news from 5 o'clock.
Mike, thanks very much for the update. This lunchtime still ahead between now and 1 o'clock. The Queen of Fair Trade arrives in Wigan, and we take a look at the most expensive pancake in town.
Pancake Day is coming up, and we just want to do something a bit more interesting with pancakes, and thought, why not try and make the world's most expensive pancakes with the ingredients that we've got.
Welcome back to Channel M's Lunchtime News. More of the day's top stories to come between now and 1 o'clock. And you can also go online as well to see more of our reports there at channelm.co.uk. Right now, we join Danny Boyle's family for their Oscars party, and also your chance to buy some of Manchester's leading landmarks. Well, sort of. All that and more at channelm.co.uk. Next, the trees in Salford that are facing the chop because they're a danger to children going to school. The axe will literally fall on them despite pressure from residents to keep them.
To most people, this is just a tree in a suburban street. However, as far as Salford Council is concerned, it's a deadly threat to life and limb, and so they're going to chop it down. Also for the chop is this tree outside the house where Fred Hazels lived for 35 years.
As far as I can see, the bud is starting to appear on it, so it's still alive, isn't it?
Still alive, but they say it's dangerous, so you've got to take their word that it's dangerous.
What do you think's the real story here?
Well, the real story has always been the story, is that you have a school down the road where children and parents, young parents go on that, and there's been a few trips, and there's been a few insurance claims gone in, so...
As it happens, that's just what it says in this Salford Council planning report from last July. Under the heading Legal Implications, it says the poor condition of the footway and trees has been well documented. The council is at risk of having to pay damages for injury or loss thereby. This is how Pine Grove looks when the leaves are on the trees. It's easy to see why residents are unhappy at the prospect of losing any. But just in case any of the neighbours are in any doubt, Council Planning Chief Derek Antrobus confirmed yesterday that both trees in Pine Grove were for the chop. Unfortunately, for people living in Pine Grove, that's not the end of it. In October, new pavements are being laid to reduce the risk of legal action against the council. As a result, yet more trees are for the chop. Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Well, we've been in touch with Salford Council and they say the old trees may be on their way out, but new ones will be planted and residents will be involved in those plans. Now to a job where cutting is all the rage, the role of a hairdresser. To highlight National Apprentice Week, here's a trade where trainees are always looking to grow their skills.
A trained apprentice has experience. They have experience through a training provider and in a salon. So once they're at the training provider, they do half a day of theory work, half a day of practical work. And then in the salon, they gain the industrial experience, they look at pressures of working with customers, and they get an all-round experience of the hairdressing industry. An apprentice is the undercurrent to any business. They assist the stylist in providing a quality service to the customer. Without them, the salon couldn't run. Apprenticeships are open to everybody under the age of 25.
Well, I was at college full-time rather than being on an apprenticeship, and I didn't find that was for me because, like I was saying, you don't get the experience, and if I hadn't have got the apprenticeship, I don't know what I'd be doing now. I'd probably just still be at college full-time. I'd be much more confident once I've finished my course going and looking for a job because I've kind of already enrolled in that, because you're settled into it more rather than just being chucked into college and then going to look for a job straight away. You like, because you've got both aspects of it, it's a lot easier because even though you are working, you're also still learning.
Ministers are defending plans to sell off part of Royal Mail. A rouse erupted after news of the plan came out ahead of a detailed announcement later in the week. A leaked letter's warning that if part of the business isn't sold off, the shortfall in the business's pension fund could be much bigger than first thought. 113 million people have been left locked out of their Google email accounts. Engineers are trying to work out what's gone wrong with the system. It promises a 99.9% service level to its professional users. NASA says a satellite, which was launched earlier, has run into problems. The equipment's supposed to be spending 2 years tracking carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. Scientists say it had technical difficulties shortly after blasting off in California when part of the craft didn't break off as it should. A sailor from Stockport who's been rescued by an oil tanker after spending more than 40 days adrift in the Atlantic has been speaking about his ordeal. Stuart Armstrong and his partner Andrea Davison ended up going round in circles when their rudder jammed after leaving the Cape Verde Islands off the west coast of Africa.
We were moving up and down the side of the tanker by 20 feet each time and organising to get yourself lifted off, and the way you do it is you actually jump into the water with the harnesses on, and then the tanker crew pull you up out of the water. So it was night time by then, and jumping into the Atlantic with a big swell rolling is, it's quite an experience.
Children in Wigan have been learning how to shop with a conscience to understand how their actions affect people on the other side of the world. It's all part of Fair Trade Fortnight, and the youngsters have been telling our reporter Nina Warhurst what it's all about.
It can help develop better lifestyles for the people who farm the coffee and different products. And more we buy them, it's helping them develop a better lifestyle by giving them money. If we buy the products, then it's getting them more money to feed the families and like to make more coffee.
St Paul's Primary, there's fair trade fever in the air. Pupils have spent the last term learning all about what fair trade is and have just found out that one of the girls has won a poster design competition to promote fair trade across the borough.
Well, I've done the world to show different countries and what they represent, and the hand to show that no matter what colour skin you have, you're just the same as everybody else. And the happy faces to show that when you've been helped by fair trade, you really are happy.
So how are you going to feel when you see your poster up all around Wigan?
Very excited.
And what have your mum and dad said?
They said they're really proud of me.
Well, congratulations. Well, today pupils at St Paul's have been given the opportunity to meet a lady who knows firsthand the positive impact of fair trade. Rosa is a coffee farmer based in the remote heights of the Andes. She gets paid just once a year when her beans harvest, and she's left Colombia for the first time to help promote fair trade here in the UK.
She says the quality of life in the community has certainly improved, and the infrastructure in the town and the roads and everything around it's been affected in a very positive way.
And how important do you think it is that children of this age are learning about fair trade and cooperative movements?
She says that makes the whole idea sustainable in the future, because if you teach children, then you sort of guarantee they will teach that to their own children, and her children will get the benefits of the people who get the fair trade products.
Wigan's Fair Trade Fortnight will culminate with sellers and producers setting out their stalls from the 4th to the 7th of March in Wigan Marketplace. It's hoped that schools from across the region will be encouraged to become fully fair trade. Nina Warhurst, Channel M News.
Now, frying pans at the ready. Being Shrove Tuesday, many of us will be having a crack at making pancakes later on, and if you are, they'll probably be a little more modest than the ones on offer at a city centre restaurant where they've created one of the world's most expensive at £144 a go.
We started off pancake days coming up, and we just wanted to do something a bit more interesting with pancakes, and thought why not try and make the world's most expensive pancakes with the ingredients that we've got. We started off with a champagne jelly, which includes Krug, which is retails about £135 a bottle. Pancakes obviously just a basic mixture of eggs, flour and milk, but we use organic, everything's organic. Inside the pancake is oranges, it's flambés in Hennessy XO, which again I think retails at about £35 a shot.
Let's return to our top story this lunchtime now. And armed thieves have targeted the Cheshire home of United footballer Darren Fletcher. He's currently in Italy for tonight's Champions League match. With more on this, here's Ben Bland.
The burglary happened at about 9 o'clock last night here in Bowden on the border between Greater Manchester and Cheshire. A gang of men, we don't know how many, broke into Darren Fletcher's home, perhaps expecting it to be empty. The 25-year-old midfielder having flown to Italy with the United side ahead of tonight's Champions League tie with Inter Milan. Police tell us a 25-year-old woman was in the house at the time of the burglary. We understand that was Hayley Grice, Darren Fletcher's girlfriend. She shares the house with him and their twin sons. We also understand the gang was armed with a knife. They raided the house and stole items but fled before police officers arrived. I've been speaking to neighbours nearby. None of them wanted to appear on camera, but they told me that burglaries are a concern here. This is a very affluent, well-to-do area and is popular with Premier League footballers, which can sometimes draw the wrong kind of attention. This is the latest in a spate of burglaries, seemingly targeting footballers' homes while they're away with their clubs. Those who've been targeted recently include Emil Heskey, Rocky Santa Cruz, Micah Richards, the Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard, who hired private security guards after his wife was threatened in their home. And just last month, a man was jailed for handling items stolen from the house of the Liverpool midfielder Lucas. But it's thought Darren Fletcher is the first Manchester United player to have been targeted in one of these burglaries. Now, as I mentioned, United are in Italy for the Champions League tie against Inter Milan. We'll bring you the drama from the game itself in our sports news a little bit later on.
Thanks, Ben. Let's take a look now at whether there's any chance of it brightening up later on. Michelle Eagleton's got the weather.
Well, the weather pitch is pretty much the same as yesterday, although it is a lot cooler. We're seeing highs of just 8 and 9 today, whereas yesterday we saw temperatures reach at least 11 degrees. It was quite pleasant yesterday. We are going to see a little bit of that later on, although this morning we did see a fair bit of cloud. Really did plague Greater Manchester, although it did lift by about 9, 10 o'clock, leaving with it some really dark, heavy cloud. Now, by this afternoon, we are going to see a lot of that cloud completely disappear, although we will see a few showers just dropping in and about Greater Manchester, so do be aware you might need your brollies, but not for too long because it should dry up overnight. And then we are going to see some nice bright weather for this evening, but make the most of it because the next few days aren't looking that good at all. I can tell you that Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, very, very rainy indeed, lots of heavy downpours, but by the weekend we should see a bit of a change and expect some sunshine.
That's pretty much it from the lunchtime news for today. Join us again for the early evening news from 5 o'clock tonight, when we'll have more on the Middleton School being hailed a national success story for achieving against the odds. That's with Andy Crane from 5. But from me and the rest of the team, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.